Good day, everyone. This is Meredith Leon-McCormack, and I am your hostess for The Good Look. This segment is going to be fun, exciting, and we are going to learn about a wonderful woman, a wonderful young woman that is doing extraordinary things, Miss Tanyka Renee. We follow her on social media. We see the extravagant trips. We see the beautiful images. But who is she really? She is going to have a conversation with us that's going to not only enlighten you, but empower you and make you want to live your best life. So stay tuned. Hey, Tanyka, how are you? Thank you so much for coming into Good Look. We are so super honored and excited to have you to have this beautiful conversation.
Thank you for having me. When I received the email, I was ecstatic. I'm all for anything that is inspiring and promoting anyone to go out there and chase their dreams.
I love it. So just for some of us that may have been living under a rock and don't know who you are, let's go back a little. I want to give people backstory of who you are, because you're not just a blogger and influencer, and I use those words lightly because they're trending, but you are actually a journalist. So you have journalism background, and you're former model, former professional athlete, and tell us, who are you? What is your full name? And what would you say best describes who you are? Go ahead.
My name is Tanyka Renee Henry. I'm just someone living life, honestly. I'm not I don't like titles. I believe that I don't like to use titles to define. I don't believe that we should use titles to define ourselves. I am constantly evolving and trying new things and figuring life out. So basically, yes, I was a journalist. I worked as a journalist for some time. I didn't really like that, decided to go another direction, got into travel.
Well, you say I got into travel, but this was something that I feel that was probably in your DNA, because you said you grew up in Connecticut. Is that correct? Did you grow up?
Yes, I grew up in New Britain, Connecticut.
So being there, you were exposed to various cultures and backgrounds, but you defied what society would say about women, Black women, and you took on things because you played professional football as a young woman. You were married already. You started traveling. You modeled. There's not even a word that has been invented to describe who you are. The only thing that comes close to it is a Renaissance woman. But can you tell us a little, how did you get into the travel world? What brought you into that?
Well, I'll start in how my journey began. So I grew up in Connecticut. I grew up in foster care. Foster care really forced me to be very independent. It also forced me to explore. There was times where I wasn't happy at home, so I would jump on my bike and I would go to neighboring towns and just people watch. And that's where my love for travel began, and my love for exploring and learning different cultures. I apologize.
No, that's okay. Don't even worry about that. You're that busy of a woman.
So yes, that's where my love of travel began, was with me jumping on my bike and exploring. As I got older, I would, when school was overwhelming, I would skip school and I would go to New York. I would catch the bus and I would head out to New York and just people watch, stand outside the bus terminal and just watch people. And I was just fascinated by New York City. Eventually, I ended up moving to New York City, and I went through this horrible breakup, and I kind of lost myself. I was very confused. I didn't understand life. I felt like I was a good person to him, and I didn't understand why it didn't work out between us. And not realizing that there are so many elements to relationships. So I decided to get up, put my apartment on Airbnb, and
A businesswoman already.
and just head out to Southeast Asia. I knew Southeast Asia to me seemed very, very foreign at that time. It seemed like, I had so many questions and I didn't even care. Like, do they speak English? Are there going to be people who look like me? How am I going to be treated? Is there racism? But I did not care. I just wanted to get away. So I went to Asia and I lost myself, but I also found myself. I cried. It was a lot of crying. The trip consisted of a lot of crying. I met new people. I tried new things. It was so empowering. I figured out what I loved. It wasn't about like traveling with, usually when you travel with friends, you're doing what the group likes to do. I was actually doing what I wanted to do. And sometimes that meant just sleeping all day and unpacking all my emotions. Yeah, it was very, very empowering. And I also discovered that I love to solo travel.
Wow. So is that at that point that you realized that you needed to do healing, and is that what brought you into holistic healing and medicine and all that other stuff that do you still do?
Yes, I do. I honestly, my life has been, I'm constantly healing. It's just been a continuous journey of confronting traumas, unpacking, and evolving. So my mother, my biological mother, she had diabetes. She had me when she was 14.
Wow.
And I really didn't have a close relationship with her until right before she passed. And during that time, I understood, like, even though I didn't have a close relationship with her, I realized that we were the same. And I also felt as though, she passed from a diabetic coma, and I felt like it could have been avoided. So I decided to go into nutrition because I wanted to educate myself, but also educate others. So, and I didn't want to do, Western medicine. So I studied Indian medicine, which was Ayurveda, ancient Indian medicine. I actually had the opportunity to meet Dr. Sebi. I did some learning with him. Yeah.
That's pretty astounding. Let me just back up a little. How old were you when you were going through this self-discovery, this healing process that you were going through?
I believe I started to want to heal when I was a teenager. You know, I was very aware of my surroundings, and growing up in foster care, I would look around and kind of analyze the people who are around me. Right. And I would take certain elements and aspects and say, I want to be like this person. I want to carry out these characteristics. And then I would look at other characteristics and say, I don't like these characteristics. These characteristics don't make me happy. So I would figure out why certain things made me feel a certain way. And I would kind of process it. I had no choice, I was constantly in survival mode. So I realized that I had to process my emotions in order to survive.
Wow, that's pretty deep. To be at such a young age, to be able to acknowledge and to become self-aware that something is wrong and I need to address it. And people look at you, your Instagram is absolutely phenomenal. It's just gorgeous. And you look like you're living this perfect life that started that was always that, because this is how we know you. But for people to actually understand the impact of your life and what it is to others is to know who you are. And that's why I believe Good Look truly wanted to interview you for this segment, because it is about empowering women, but making women feel comfortable enough to know that it doesn't start like this. It's first starting within, and then tackling your fears, your own personal fears. And I really can relate to that. I am 52 years old, and I literally,
amazing.
I love you. You're gorgeous. You're my inspiration. And so for, oh my God, no. And I have 3 children, and I've always loved the water, always wanted to swim. And I'm the one that goes to all the places. I travel the world, and I get to the water and I won't go past. If I can't touch the ground, I'm not going beyond it. So I decided during the pandemic that I was going to address my fears of water and going in deep water. I am a swimmer now. I can jump into the water and not be in fear, because and I did it gradually. And so when I heard your story, and I was honored when Tasha Turner asked me to interview you, to say like, oh my God, and I did my research on you, and I'm like, this one was a football player, a male dominated industry. And in a stage where women and Black women are not represented, she decided to do things that are not traditional for us as Black women. And then you are a global travel. And from 2019, you had already been to 95 countries. Yeah. That means I can't even imagine how many passports you're on by now. You know, that says a lot. So for me, from what I hear, it's about self-discovery. More than attaching yourself with other human beings, because how do you safely travel, and how can we get our women, our viewers, to feel they too can take this journey, but do so safely? What are some recommendations that you think you could share with us?
Well, before I go into that, I want to say kudos to you for learning how to swim. That is beautiful. As Black women and travel, a lot of times we don't know where those fears come from. Those fears are actually passed on. Travel didn't start until the 1920s in America. And when that travel when I say travel, I mean like people jumping in, going for road trips, and planes. Yes, plane travel was happening, but not everyone could afford it. But Black Americans could not travel. There was fear. We didn't know if we went to a neighboring town, if we were getting lynched. We didn't like water. We lost many of our ancestors in the water. So there is that fear that has been passed on to us. Everything from that to bees. Like, even a lot of people are afraid of bees, and they don't even know where that fear comes from, because a lot of slave owners used to attack slaves with bees. So yes for overcoming these generational curses and going out there, facing our fears, doing what we are meant to do, because we're supposed to wake up every day and be great. There's so much abundance, and this world is beautiful. We are supposed to see the world and enjoy every part of it. Okay, I got off topic, but what was the question?
You did not. No, you did not.
Traveling safely as a solo traveler. So, when I travel, I've been very blessed to I've run into a few issues, but not that many. I do believe in energy. I do believe, when you go to a foreign country, lead with love. Be open to other cultures, do your research, and lead with love. I believe that loving energy is a protecting energy.
Powerful.
I share my location with my family. I share it. If you have an iPhone, you can also share it on Google Maps. If you don't have an iPhone, I update my family constantly, let them know what I'm doing. If I meet someone, I'll hang out. I share that person's contact information. I said, hey, do you mind? I want to share your contact information with my family. Or I might share their social media profiles just so they know, the last person that I was with.
Right.
I also, I don't go out at night. And I don't drink. I do drink, but when I'm traveling, I do not drink at night by myself. I'm very aware of, when I place my glasses down, when I meet new people, I do not tell them that I'm traveling alone. I tell them that I decided to leave my friends at the hotel, but they are waiting for me. Checking into hotels, I tell them that my husband is joining me. There is human trafficking going on. There's a lot of human trafficking. So listen, if someone wants to kidnap me, I want to make it hard for them. So I always, send out these signals to let them know I am not really alone.
Right. And you really never are, because I know that you're very spiritually grounded. I've heard other interviews with you, and you take your life very seriously. You are about empowering other people and other women of all races. And I know this because to go through 95 different countries in the world, it's kind of hard to be racist when you're exploring. And I think for me, the way to combat racism is actually through travel and culture and learning and educating oneself about it. And so speaking of education, you are now a pilot? You got your aviation
license? So quarantine was the beginning of quarantine, it was very hard. Like sitting still was very hard for me. And, I do have a therapist. I recommend therapy for everyone. I love my therapist. And she's like, hey, maybe you should take a class. Start digging into some of the things that you wanted to do, but you were too busy traveling to do. And I'm like, she's like, what is something that you would always wanted to do, that you always wanted to? I was like, I want to be a pilot. And she's like, well, go do it. Like I said it, but I was joking. I was like, I want to be a pilot. She's like, go do it. She's like, look into it. I was like, no, we're in quarantine. How am I going to do this? And she was like, look into it. I looked into it. I found a school, Heritage Flight Academy. I signed up. And it took me about a year to get my private pilot license. And I'm here.
Wow.
So I'm still going to school. I'm working on my instruments now. But I love it. I love flying. And I can't wait till I'm on the plane and someone's like, do we have a pilot in the house? And I can be
like, fabulous. You are literally dispelling so many myths about Black women and our ability, one, to connect with others, to our fear of exploring other cultures, but at the same time, that we're afraid to be with ourselves by ourselves. We love self-discovery because I think we become more powerful and useful to our families, our community, by becoming the best version of ourselves. And you have perfectly reflected that. And I am so super excited to have had this conversation with you. But before I let you go, I do want to ask, what do you have in the horizon that we can follow you on? And can you tell us a little bit about it? Anything special?
So, when I first started social media, it was about sharing my journey with others. Sometimes my ego does jump in and it's like, hey, it's me, but I'm at a point in my life where I really want to build a community. I want my social media to be less about me, and I want it to be about us. So I'm working on what that is going to look like. I'm working on, and listen, I could partner with the platform, but yes, I'm working on what that is going to look like, because we're all the same, all of
We
us.
really are.
And I just want, I want everyone to feel like family. That's
And
very,
we are family, in so many ways. And I know you can attest to this, that the more you travel and the more you meet other people of various background, the more you feel like you're looking into your own family life, your own experiences. Women have the same challenges specifically, because, the world, it has always been through the eyes of men. Stories have been told through the eyes of men. And so as we explore the world, as women and women of color, it's important that there is a camaraderie built, a sisterhood built. And I think this is why you were chosen to have this conversation, because we live vicariously through you, but now you're telling us that it is possible for us to actually do it. That in itself is powerful. So I'm sure Salida would think amazingly of you partnering with her. Hey, I'm going to make a good word. Good word.
hey.
But I am so proud of you. I think you are there's not even a word to describe a title for you, so we won't put you in a box, because I don't think you belong in a box. But I think that what you do, because one of the things that you did, I did quote you saying, was you believe that representation matters, and that it was so important to you when creating this platform, your platform, that you showed women that look like you, that were underrepresented, and women in general feel, it was important to you that they feel and they can see themselves through you. So bravo and kudos for that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, I think it's magnificent. So please, can you tell the viewers, where can they find you, on what platforms, and what are your handles, please?
So you can find me Instagram at Tanyka Renee, TanykaRenee, and that's also my website, TanykaRenee.com. Right now, Instagram is one of my main platforms. I'm also on Facebook and Twitter. But yes, stop in, say hi. I follow back,
I love that.
message. I answer all questions. Like I said, we are family.
I love it. I think you're an extraordinary young woman. You have a lot more to give, and you have a lot of followers that are looking to be inspired. And I think we need that, especially after going through what we did for the past 2 years, and still going through, because it's really not over. But it is, you have now empowered women to do so much. So I want to thank you for this. It's a good look.
Thank you.
So until the next time, ciao.
Ciao.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Tanyka Renee. Absolutely extraordinary young woman. We want to thank you at The Good Look for all your support. And until the next segment, please continue to build a good world. Ciao, Bella.